Good afternoon and welcome to Wednesday, June the 26th. It's your favorite coach, Sister Tish, Shine with Tish podcast. I am excited, ignited, and delighted to have the Melissa Morehead Moore. That's Eminem and them in the house. Melissa, please introduce yourself to our listening audience.
Oh, goodness, Tish. First of all, thank you so much for just the opportunity
Of
and the warm
course.
welcome here on your platform. But hey, everyone, as Tish stated, my name is Melissa Morehead Moore. I am your Fear Fighter coach. I am the owner and operator of Melissa Morehead LLC. I am an author. I'm a minister. I am a lover of Christ and a lover of his people. So that is who I am.
I love it. I love it. Girl, I cannot wait to get into this interview. Holy Spirit was downloading these questions.
Oh, goodness.
Wow, you have so many titles, lady. Can
Wow.
you please share a little of your story and how you became the
Yeah.
powerhouse that you are
Wow.
today? Coach, author, speaker,
Yes.
radio host,
Yeah.
mentor.
Yes.
We have community investor. Girl, you go on and on and on and on like the Energizer Bunny. Let's hear this story.
Wow, Tish, again, thank you so
Of
much. So
course.
yes, I will tell you, it was probably, I would say about 12, 13 years ago. My kids were still at home, and I felt an unction to really be involved in community. And prior to that, I knew God had placed a calling on my life. But we're human, and one thing we do is just run. I'm like,
Right.
well, it's easy for me to work the streets as opposed to be inside. Because Father, I can't, I'm not worthy, right? But I remember saying I will become involved in the community once my kids are gone from the home, because I could not fathom or could not bring myself to work in the community and help someone else
Yes.
when I needed help myself.
Yes. I
And
understand.
so that's really when a lot of the community things started for me. Volunteering, getting involved in politics. I serve on the local school board council here. That has been a journey. And so, really, all the things that you said, I truly, truly honor God, and I thank Him for trusting me with every single calling that He has given me. And the work that He's given my hands to do. And
Yes.
that's probably been the biggest honor, is that I am able to assist. I always tell people that I love helping. I love being in the background. I love helping. I love coaching. I love pushing. I love pouring into. So that's really who I am, Tish.
I love it. That makes sense. When you're walking with God, when you're being obedient and not sacrificing, it doesn't matter what shoe you want to wear, the
Yes.
stiletto, the flip-flop, the croc, the boot,
Yes.
whatever he is calling you to do for that day,
Yes.
it's gonna win. All
Yes.
you do is win in God. And I'm
That
so
part.
glad that you were able to understand how to balance it, how to say, okay, Lord, once my babies get out the nest, you have me laser focused. I'm doing whatever you want me to do.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
now, like, your cup is running over. I'm so excited
Thank you,
about
Tish.
it. I can't wait to get to the next
Me
question,
too.
which asks, I love the title, Fear
Mhm.
Fighter Coach. I
Yes.
believe fear is an entity that we have
Mhm.
to fight off whenever it visits. What
Absolutely.
has been the biggest lie some women believe that causes them fear?
Oh, comparison.
I would have to concur.
Comparison. Comparison will rob you of so many things. Not only will it rob you of your joy, but it will rob you of time. And I think the
Hmm.
one thing where we have seen in this season, of years of internet and social media, is social media.
Yes.
Um, it has robbed all of us. I can't speak for everybody else. I can speak for Melissa, especially during the pandemic, right? Because all we were doing was at home. We might have been working remotely. We could have been doing whatever. But the one thing, we were just so engaged in social media,
Yeah.
engaged in the television, engaged in all of these things. And so everybody, I do believe, fell in love with something else outside of their nine to
Mhm,
five.
mhm.
And so for me, my biggest hindrance has been comparison, and I have to fight through that every single day, Tish. Every single day. And it doesn't even have to be of what somebody else is doing or how someone else looks. It could just be me. Though I choose to wear a ball fade or rock a short fro right now, that's very uncommon, especially, and I'm using the word in the world of politics, right? Because I don't fit the norm of that. And so I'm constantly having to fight my way through my mindset in the comparison of others. But God has created me as his daughter, his Melissa. He knew what I was going to look like, what I was going to wear, how I was going to show up with bald head and big earrings and big eyebrows, big frame glasses, speak a different way, show up a different way. And so having to navigate through that, and then having to navigate through the lies of what other people have sown into us and what we have allowed our ear gate to consume, if you will. I was in a very, very toxic marriage, my very first marriage. I married young. Excuse me. And God rest his soul, he has since passed away. I know I shared a little bit of my other journey with you prior to us recording. He passed away. He has been deceased now for almost 30 years. And I remember a fight that we had. It was very bad, domestic violence, volatile relationship. And I remember him telling me I would never amount to anything. He is no longer living. This is 2024. Do you know how many times I have to fight my way through that voice in my head of the last thing that I heard from him, saying that I will never amount to anything?
Have mercy.
But God.
Yes.
But I'm also realizing that I can't use what he told me as a weapon to manipulate my own self.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because I think what happens, well, I can show them better. I can show them better than I can tell them, right? Yes, I will be someone. Yes, I will be someone. God has called me to be who he has called me to be. But I also even remember in that time, Tish, when I really started finding my niche, if you will, in the political realm, in my career, in the community, that I was doing all of these things. I was taking all these things in. I was getting all these awards and all these accomplishments. I was burnt out. But it was like I had a point to prove, like I made it, right? Because somebody almost 30 years ago told me I was never going to amount to anything. And the crazy thing, it didn't come from my daddy. It didn't come from my mom. It came from a man who I married and laid down with and had children with. He's no longer here. So again, having to fight that enemy, the lie of that particular enemy every single time.
Wow. I want to add something. Today I spoke with a friend who I haven't spoken with in a long time. I want to say maybe 9 months, 6 to 9 months.
Wow.
And I told her, I thought you were going to call, tell me you got engaged, girl.
Yeah.
She was like, girl. I was like, you don't have to say no more. Yeah. But as she said more, I said, wow. Like, the enemy's such a liar. He's such a liar. She was just saying, like, for me, I don't need anything. Yeah. She was saying, Tish, I built my house. I'm on top of my career. Like, I'm free. I desire partnership. I desire to have companionship, to multiply, to have that, but not at the cost of you grabbing my cell phone out of my hand, of you trying to control me, not at the cost of you trying to. He was calling her a narcissist. She's like, I'm a giver. I go out, I see something I think your mom would like, or your aunt may like, or your daughters may like, or that would look nice on you. I'm a giver. But sometimes empaths, we do that. We think, okay, did you say that? Was that me? And I'm just so glad that she wasn't insecure, that she wasn't desperado, that she didn't need to take that option. And she was like, Tish, like, I decided to go, he wanted to come for Valentine's. She was like, it's not the time. She's like, I am getting back well now. I'm going to go on a cruise with my cousin. I'm just going to chill. And I want me time. I've
That
been down for a while. I need me time. And he couldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, that man hired a private investigator. She was like, what, Bot? This is crazy. Because of someone's own insecurity. I'm just grateful when you have your confidence in
Yeah,
God's word and the promises that he says
that
he
part.
has for you. It
That part.
doesn't matter what anybody wants to control
Yes.
or promise
Yes.
you. It's
Yes.
irrelevant. And that's
That
how you
part.
can fight fear, by knowing what thus says the Lord is true
Yes.
about you and his promises to come.
Yes. 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 And that is so true. That's so true.
Mhm.
I think especially in the church,
Mhm.
we always hear, fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real.
Mhm.
That's true.
Mhm.
But nobody tells you how to fight through it every day when you think you see it, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's those conversations that we have to have deeper. Fear is more than just being afraid of lions, tigers, and bears and
Mhm.
spiders and all of these things in the natural that we're
That's
afraid
right.
of. There's been times, Tish, that I've been afraid of my own shadow.
I'm telling you, the
Yeah,
thoughts, the
yeah,
whispers, the
yes,
lies.
yes.
I will never forget that Superman movie. It was a Superman movie, and the villain,
Mm,
he was like, I didn't do nothing.
yes.
I just recommended you did that.
You did everything else. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
just, the word says to renew your mind. Like, we have to really make sure that we put that helmet of salvation on so that
Yes.
those lies don't come in.
That
And
part.
definitely we don't believe them.
That part. And it
You
takes
know?
strength not to believe it.
Yes. Fear has robbed so many, as we just talked about, of promises, gifts, many good things. Do you have a step system that you have in place on helping ladies capture their hearts back from said fear?
Absolutely. So one thing that I do, especially when I start working with ladies, I am a very honest and open book individual.
Mhm.
And I am a firm believer in order to be made comfortable, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, right?
Mhm.
Not harmful situations, but I
Yes.
think uncomfortable situations that you're trying to overcome.
Mhm.
And even as I say that, I remember the television show Fear Factor, what, about 20 or so years
Mhm.
ago,
Mhm.
and whatever fear it was that you were afraid of, that's the first thing that they made you tackle. I
Mhm.
remember seeing an episode of a woman, I think she was afraid of spiders, and they put
Mhm.
her, I want to say, in like in an enclosed box or something with spiders, just not your regular everyday summer house spiders, right? These were tarantulas,
Oh my
these were
gosh.
deadly spiders. But guess what she did? She overcame that fear. And so the one thing that I do, with my clients, with the ladies that I work with, is that we tackle the one thing that is holding you back from being your best self,
Mhm.
whatever that fear is, and we come up with a plan, with a strategy for
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
It's not the outside noise that we deal with. Normally it's the inner noise that we deal
Yeah.
with first, right? Because I think a lot of times it's easy for us to overlook us.
Right.
I'm going to say it's hard for us to not work on us first,
Mm.
but it's easy for us to deal with the outside noise,
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we think that we can control the outside part, but what we
Mhm.
fail to realize, it's this part here that we have to make sure that we maintain and that we keep
Yes.
working on in order to control the distractions, the noise,
Yes.
things of that nature that
Yes.
come. So yeah, we work a strategy plan,
Mhm.
but I make sure I get my clients uncomfortable in order to be made comfortable, in order to give them the proper tools to fight what it is that they are combating, and that is the fear.
Mhm. And I find, like, when you work on when you do the inner work,
Mhm.
you can do everything else.
Yes, you can. You truly can. Inner work really is the work that
Yes.
you need. And I
Mhm.
even think culturally, Tish, that I think that's something that we have lacked.
Mhm.
Now it seems like we're trying to make up for lost time of what we didn't, because I think a lot of it has been passed from generation. What happens in this house stays in this house.
Mm.
You good. We don't need to talk about that. No, we need to talk about it, because I tell people what happens in this house stays in this house, but people in the house are dying because we're not talking
Yes.
about
They're in
what's happening in the
prison.
house. That part.
Yes.
So
So you
that's
have to
the
check out my
thing.
episode from Wednesday, June 19th, on Juneteenth, where I
Okay.
interviewed Dr. Brown, who is not only a
Oh,
pastor, but a therapist. So, in church, you're
Yes.
like, pray about it,
That's
girl,
the
pray
time.
about it,
That
fast about it.
yes.
But not always pray in faith. He's giving you tools on what to
That's it.
do.
He says faith
Counseling
without
and
works is dead.
therapy.
Yes.
Exactly.
Ah, but
Exactly.
yes.
So I really enjoyed that time with him, and he had 4 different books
Oh,
that he's
wonderful.
written. One that sticks out, how to hijack your mind.
Mm,
You take control of this
that,
mind.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
You don't have the mind
absolutely.
telling you what to do. You tell the mind what
You
to
tell a
do.
mind that part. Yes, yes.
Yes. So I'm so glad that you helped these ladies to conquer their individual fear, do
Thank
the
you.
inner work, come up with a
Absolutely.
strategy so that they can continue to soar. That's awesome
Absolutely.
stuff. So, I was doing some research on you and I saw that you are the co-founder of We Trashed It. Can you please elaborate and speak about it?
I sure can. Oh my goodness, trashed it. I'm not going to use the word was. It is still trashed it, but now it's going to be trashed it with Missy, my business partner. Shout out to Mel.
Mhm,
Another door has opened for her, and so sometimes seasons are okay, right? And I think
mhm.
in this business, when you have a coach and you have a therapist that comes together to
Yeah.
do some things and to create a platform or to create an environment and a safe space for individuals,
Mhm.
especially women, that you realize that seasons do have to come to an end,
Yeah.
but seasons also change. And
Yeah.
so during the midst of the pandemic, I was engaged.
Mhm.
I went through a breakup
Mhm.
that cost me a lot
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, physically,
Mhm.
financially, all
Mhm.
of the E's, right? All of the
Yes.
E's, because I truly thought that this was the man that God has sent me per my list because he fit
Mhm.
everything on my list, minus one that
Mhm.
I forgot to write on there, right? But
Mhm.
that's another topic for another day.
Yes.
But during that time of the breakup, she's a therapist. And so,
Mhm.
we were just having really offline, off record conversations, if you will. And that's how Trashed It came about. Because when I realized that the wedding was no longer going to be, and went out to my garage and just started breaking every centerpiece, every plate, everything that we had for our reception. It was like 250 of everything in my garage. And now I have this beautiful ring. My heart is broken. Can't get money back on things. Pandemic happened. We're no longer together. What is going on? And Trashed It was birthed out of a place of pain, which
Mhm.
then in turn became purpose. And I also healed my
Yes.
journey as well. And so that's where Trashed It comes from. And so in the fall, it will be Trashed It with Missy, same concept. But it just be a solopreneur, if you will, to just
I
be
love
myself.
it.
And it truly served a purpose of healing for me.
Yes.
We would go live, we would do our podcast live, and you have a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I did, I remember telling my story, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is live, I can't take it back. But it was a healing journey for
Of
me.
course.
So many individuals reached out like, oh my gosh, the things that you said is how I've been feeling, what I wanted to
Mhm.
say. And so I could no longer keep those thoughts captive and keep running havoc in my own mind when they
Yes.
were no longer going to be. And it
Mhm.
life happens, right? I think sometimes
Yes.
we always say it is what it is. And in that particular season, it is what it is. I'm so grateful for Mel and the opportunity that she and I had together.
Yes.
That she helped be my midwife for me to birth this thing out.
Wow.
And
That's
so that's what it is. That's what Trashed It truly is. And so now it will be Trashed It with Missy coming in the fall. So
I
stay
love
tuned.
it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I think of Michael Todd, Pastor Michael Todd,
Yes.
and he has the philosophy of tear up the list. I don't have a list. I just trust that the Holy Spirit
Mhm.
will just lead, and based on that person's fruits, you
Oh gosh,
know.
yes. Yes.
I also like Jerry Flowers. He talks about unlearning your type.
I will have to
Oh
remember
my
that.
gosh,
Okay.
I listen
Okay,
to that
Jerry
on
Flowers.
rotation. Pastor Jerry Flowers,
Okay.
unlearning your type. because your type may be keeping you in that cycle, and then the list, sometimes some are on the list that maybe shouldn't be on the list, or that's not on the list that probably should be on the list. So just I have learned from Jerry Flowers. I've learned from Michael Todd that I don't need to make a list, and
Yes.
then from Jerry Flowers that I need to be a fruit inspector. Don't worry about
Mm.
type. Be a fruit inspector.
Wow,
What's
that's
coming
good,
out of the
Tish.
mouth? Are
Yes.
there words of edifying,
Yes.
building up? Is it loving, kind, gentle,
Oh,
encouraging,
yes. Yes.
supportive? Or is it sarcasm? Is it backhanded compliments?
That. Yeah.
Profanity?
Passive aggressive.
Passive
Yeah.
control?
Yeah.
Jealousy, envy?
Mhm.
Gotta look at the
That
fruit.
part. Thank you for that. Look, giving me that. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yes, my sister. The theme this year for me is being an heir to inherit more in 24. So proud of you being
Thank
a
you.
community investor. How have you been impacting your communities?
Oh gosh. Wow. It has been a journey. So I like to call a big city small town. I live in the second biggest city in the state of Indiana. I live in Evansville.
Mhm,
Our population is probably 110,000 plus.
mhm.
Very few of us look
Got
like me.
it. Okay.
So having to navigate those streets as a Black woman has truly been tough. But when you show yourself friendly,
Yes.
operating from a place of love, and then
Mhm.
when you operate it from a place of love, people can trust you,
Yes.
knowing that there's no motive.
Mhm.
We're all human race.
Yeah.
We all need to survive. We all need someone.
Mhm.
Um, it has truly been a tough journey, but it has been one that I am so grateful to God to trust me with.
Mhm.
I truly believe in affirmations and manifestations and things speaking into existence. So,
Mhm.
even in that, and you'll hear me talk about political and community because that's just truly where my community is really at, is in
Mhm.
that sense.
Mhm.
I do believe that God has gifted me to be a bridge builder. So, it
Yes.
could be that connector, right? It could be introducing somebody with someone and pouring some things in and letting them know this. And then guess what? I exit stage left because
Yeah.
my assignment is done and over with, and
Mhm.
recognizing when assignments are done, but
Yes.
also recognizing the assignment,
Mhm.
and what tools to use.
Mhm.
Though everything might not be spiritual,
Mhm.
I am still a representative of Him.
Absolutely.
So
That
He
never
is in
changes.
me.
Mhm.
Yes, He is in me, which means the light that He carries, I have to radiate.
Yes. Yes.
I equate it, crazy as it sounds. It's like, you see a roach. Roaches
Mhm.
don't like light. So what do?
Mhm.
They scatter.
Right. Mhm.
So when you, the person carrying the light, come in, guess what they have to do? They got to leave. So
Mhm.
now that makes room for you to do what you've been called to do and what you've been assigned to do.
Absolutely.
And that's really what this journey has been for me. Being involved in the community, I'm working on several campaigns right now. There's
Mhm.
an election coming up, a very important election coming up,
Mhm.
in 2024. A lot of times it's not national, it's not on that national level,
Mhm.
but it's making sure awareness, right? Telling
Yes.
the truth, telling your
Yes.
story, being a storyteller. The one thing that I really do believe, that God has gifted me to do, is being a storyteller. So helping people and learning and showing them how to tell the story.
Mhm.
But I love community. I love people.
Mhm.
I love helping. It has truly been, a wonderful journey, a very tasking journey, a very hard journey, a journey that a lot of times reveal things to me that I still have to work on.
Mhm.
And so being very transparent and being open and being vulnerable in spaces, that sometimes people don't want to share. And I hope that answers your question because
It does. It does for community. You covered all aspects, but what I love most that you said was even in the community, you have all types of faiths,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
staying true to
mhm,
yours, you being
yes,
an ambassador,
mhm,
knowing how to help people, how to connect people, that you don't have to do everything,
no, ma'am.
you
That
know?
It was an honor. So I will tell you one that I'm probably most appreciative of. Really, two things. I'm part of an organization in the state of Indiana.
Mhm.
It is a political leadership organization. And prior to me joining this organization, being selected actually, midst of the pandemic, and I remember writing down on my vision board, I'm going to apply for Who's Your Women Forward. I am going to be a selected from Who's Your Women Forward, and I will graduate from Who's Your Women Forward. And guess what happened? I applied, I was selected, I graduated, and then they even made me like the year ambassador for our class
Love
for
it.
that particular. Can I
Love it.
tell you that was no one but God?
Yes.
Doors opened. Even during that time, the people and the connections that I've made and have
Mhm.
since been able to do. And so then even here this past last year was a local election, and a
Mhm.
very good friend of mine became the very first female Black mayor here in our city.
Wow.
I was able to participate in her inaugural um, celebration, if you will, her ceremony. I was the MC.
Woo! I love it.
I'm thinking MC, like, oh yeah, you introduced. Oh gosh. They were like, no, we want you to give a few words. Tish, can I tell you, God, this is no one but you,
Yes.
of what you have allowed this city and the shift that is taking place, because I'm a
Yes.
woman of faith. So the shift that is taking place in the city through you, but you use whomever you want.
Absolutely.
I do not want a rock to cry out. You
Yes.
have equipped me for
Yes.
such a time as this.
Yes.
And so realizing where my lane is at,
Mhm.
and that learning and realizing the assignment that he gives me, but also when it's okay to bow out when the
Yes.
assignment's over with. And I'm
Yes.
even growing up in that and knowing that if I don't hear from you again,
I did
my
my job.
did my
Well done. I love
job.
it. I love
That
it.
part. So it is the showing up, and it's just letting people know, hey,
Yes.
you too. It's
Yeah.
all you have to do is be friendly and kind to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
It's not hard, Tish, but we've made it so hard because we get in our own way, our own self love of whatever it
Mhm.
is, our opinions, things of that nature. So it's every single day you talk about the mind, and I'm like,
Yes.
Father, if there's anything that is in me that is not of
Mhm.
you, I need
Please.
for you to take it out. Your word says to create in me a clean heart and renew
Yes.
the right spirit
Spirit
within
within
me.
me.
And that's every single day.
Yep.
And it's okay. The one thing I want to tell people, and especially when you do community work, it's okay that you don't have all the answers.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that I do know, that God has gifted me to be a solution to help people with their problems.
Girl, you were speaking, and Holy Spirit was like, Miss Tish, do you recognize anything that the Melissa Morehead Moore is talking about? I said, Father, that was my word from this morning, my quiet time, my
Wow.
Bible study. It came from 1 Corinthians 16, and
Mm.
I'm reading from the Living Bible. And the verses that stuck out to me, um, but the ones that I will share with you, the verses that I wrote in my quiet time that stood out to me were 9, 13, and 4. 9, 13, and 14. The one verse that reminded me of what you were saying was
Mm-hmm.
verse 14. I'll read 13 and 14. Keep your eyes open for spiritual danger.
Mm.
Stand true to the Lord. Act like men. Be strong. And whatever you do, Sister Melissa, do it with kindness and love.
And love.
That's where it's at. Like, we know it's a war, it's a
Oh
spiritual
gosh.
war between good and bad.
It is.
And that's why looking at the fruits, once you are kind, those are the fruits of the spirit, loving. People
It
can't
is.
help but to accept you because you're coming in the spirit of love.
Yeah. Wow. And I received that. Thank you so much.
Of
It's
course.
even hearing you say that. So I will share a very transparent, vulnerable moment, if you
Yes.
will. I had to have an outpatient procedure done
Okay.
recently.
Mhm.
And so coming out of the anesthesia that they gave me, and you see the videos of people and
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
talking and just talking out the side of the neck or
Mhm.
whatever. And my mother was in there with me. And Tish, she said, I woke up laughing. She has a recording of it. I watched it and I cracked up. The nurses were coming in the room, and the recovery nurse that was assigned to me, she was like, "Oh my gosh, what's so funny?" I'm like, "I don't know." I'm laughing and I'm laughing, but I'm
Mhm.
apologizing for being so loud with my laughter.
Mhm. Mhm.
And another nurse came in. She said, "I need to come and join this party." But I was
Yes.
talking to a friend of mine who used to work in the medical field, and
Mhm.
they were like, what people fail to realize that after you come out of recovery and you're coming off the medication that they've given you for your
Mhm.
procedure that you're done,
Mhm.
the type of person that you are is what they're going to see when you
Yes.
come off.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
I'm in there laughing, and people are coming in laughing, and I'm looking at this video that my mom had, and I'm like, that is really who I
That's who
am.
you are at the core. At the
So
core.
it wasn't, thank God I wasn't in there cursing and acting crazy.
Oh, I'm
Some
glad
videos
you
of
weren't.
people. But I'm like, God, I even thank you in that moment that
Yes.
even though I wasn't in my right frame of mind, but I
Mhm.
was, right?
Mhm.
That you still allow your love of people and
Yes.
just laughter to come out of me in
Yes.
a dark place of people in a recovery room, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thank him for that. So I'm
Absolutely.
realizing in even in different awkward situations and
Mhm.
circumstances
You're
that I am,
consistent.
yes, that I am who I am.
Mhm.
Um, I love people, and I know it's nothing but God.
Yes.
So it's not Melissa. It is the
Mhm.
spirit of Him that is in me.
Amen.
And I'll tell people, hey, I might not like you, but you know what? I've been commissioned to love you. And
Yes.
that's not wrong if I tell you that, because
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fake the funk.
that's right.
So that is who I am, Tish.
Yep. Love away, girl. Love away. Yes. So, let's see. I think I'm going to go for the last question. I'm
Okay.
going to go with we both are in the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thank
Yeah.
you so much for reminding me that you are in Indiana. What have you shared recently in terms of a conversation or to educate someone in
Mhm.
this much needed space? Right now, I'm taking a course at Cornell University online, the e-certificate program, diversity, equity,
Yes.
inclusion, and just calling people in, not
Mhm.
calling them out, not
That
embarrassing,
part.
but calling people in to
Yeah,
educate them and explain why certain things are the way that they are,
absolutely.
and just to help along the way. Anything
Absolutely.
new in that space for you?
The one thing I tell people that diversity is more than black and white.
It is.
But because of what we've allowed the distractions
Mm-hmm.
to show us and to that we allow even our ears to hear and be tuned
Mm-hmm.
into, that's all we see.
Mm-hmm.
Um Diversity is a facet and a merit of so many things. It's
Absolutely.
accessibility, it's
Mm-hmm.
inclusivity, it's
Mm-hmm.
equity, it's
Mm-hmm.
all the above and then
Absolutely.
some.
Absolutely.
But because we're just fixated on me being black and Sally being white, that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to work with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Sally and I both also have a commonality. We're both women.
Women, yeah.
So it's all of the things wrapped up in one that you have to pull back and
Mm-hmm.
you got to work on.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard work. So I
It
am
is.
new to so I work in diversity in the higher ed space.
Mm-hmm.
I am 1 year in, new to this.
Got it.
Tish, when I tell you it has been a space that is freeing and
Mm-hmm.
liberating, but it's very tasking.
Oh yes, girl. Yes, yes is a lot.
It's very tasking.
I'm
And
learning so much and
Mhm.
just realizing it changes every day. There's
It
just so
changes. It
much.
does. It changes. And not only are we having to change, but we have to be comfortable in order to fight against the change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking sometimes fighting in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It's still fighting for what's right.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
inclusivity of it all. I had shared with you, when you and I were scheduling time for us to come together, I went on a civil rights tour,
Yeah.
a journey. It's called Journey to Justice Experience,
Mm-hmm.
from the university that I work at.
Mm-hmm.
And Trish, it is a shame that you have to travel to get the truth.
Wow.
it was an eye opener. And so, being down south, it was a whole civil rights from Selma, Alabama to Memphis, Tennessee. It
Wow.
was 8 days. And so, I'm still, though I'm back in my own state and city, I'm still
Mhm.
unpacking what I learned when I was a little girl and
Mhm.
trying to relate that to what we're seeing now. And
Mhm.
so realizing that language, though language has changed, the words are still the same.
Yeah.
And so seeing how to operate and how to navigate, and even knowing when to operate and navigate in those
Mhm.
spaces.
Yes.
Because I'm still learning every single day. But as we know, the late great Congressman John Lewis, it's
Mhm.
the good trouble that you have to
Yes.
get into, and it's okay to ruffle feathers. It's okay to
Mhm.
make people uncomfortable, but in
Mhm.
order to be made comfortable, you got to put yourself in uncomfortable
Yep.
situations.
And draw the line, hold the
Yes,
accountability, educate.
yes, and the
Yes.
balance of it.
You may not have intended. This is what was brought to my attention. This is what is being observed. From your
Yes,
perspective, it is X. From others'
absolutely.
perspective, it is A. So you want to be careful. You
Yes,
know, this
yes,
is noted. This is an email. This is a date and a time.
that
And just making sure that there are not many of those because it creates a paper trail. So you
it
just want to make
does.
sure that you call people in and
Mhm.
hopefully that they will be grateful for the feedback and do the necessary learning and growing so that they're improving at the
That
end.
part. And I appreciate you saying that, the learning and growing, because I think sometimes we say we need to do the necessary work. No, really, before you can do the work, you got to know what you're
No,
working with.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. How can people stay in touch with you, girl?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So first of all, my website, Melissa Morehead, Melissa www.melissamorehead.com. I'm on Facebook as
Mhm.
Melissa Morehead Moore. I am on Instagram as Fear Fighter Coach. I
Yes.
do have a TikTok called The Waiting Room.
Right.
So as you can see here, I'm an author of a prayer journal called The Waiting Room, and there's some other things that are coming with that. But yes, just follow me on all of the social media platforms. Look me up on LinkedIn as well as Melissa Morehead Moore. Or if they forget all that, they can reach out to you and you can direct them my way, Tish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. I had a young lady that was on the podcast, and the next day she was like, oh my gosh, Tish, I got a new contract. Somebody watched my video. So I'm like, Lord,
Oh,
just
wonderful.
continue to do your thing, God.
Yes,
You do the thing. My
yes,
pleasure to connect.
yes.
Well, beautiful people, we have had a fabulous time. It has been 37 minutes. Melissa, it is a joy. You have to come back. There's so
I
much
will
that's
thank
in you
you.
to
Thank you,
share.
Tish. Thank you so
It's
much for
an
the
honor.
opportunity. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be on your platform and to share the stage with you, and
Yes.
just yeah, to be with you in this
Girl,
space. So thank you, Tish.
I cannot wait for the next time. Who knows? I have a good friend. She's a CEO in Indianapolis,
Okay. Two
Indiana.
and a half hours away from me,
Yeah,
or three,
I
depending
gotta
on who's driving.
connect. Yeah, I gotta connect.
Yes.
Beautiful people, please stay by Melissa. Thanks for watching the Shine with Tish podcast. This sums up June. Until next time, keep shining. Toodles.